Let's start in the top lane.
Sure.
So Matt and I have both kind of picked guys from each position that we're looking out for this World Championship. I'm looking at Huni. SKT announced, people thought they were going to bring Untara and Huni, just Untara, not Huni, and keep their 2 jungle subs in Peanut and Blank, but they decided to bring Huni over Untara, which some people were surprised with, myself included. So I'm looking at this guy. He's got a lot of pressure on him, playing obviously for SKT, one of the most established team of all time. And he is a guy who is prone to a bit of tilt. He has very high highs and can have very low lows, and he's going to be a pretty important player for SKT because they need some consistency out of that top lane.
Yeah, but the only thing you can expect is that you don't know what to expect out of Huni, pretty much.
Great.
Because, I mean, even in the regular season with SKT, his record was 7-9 win-loss, which on SKT, that's not what you expect from anybody. So, I mean, Untara was a guy who, when he came in, had a lot of results, but still, with Huni, I mean, he can still pull off some amazing outplays. I mean, somehow he survived this play on Gnar.
Still don't know how.
No. So again, if he gets his hand on Rumble, anything can happen. He's had some stellar games on that champion. But yeah, he's a guy who can win you some games, but he can also lose you some games and just stay too long in that top lane and kind of get Dyrist.
The old Dyrist treatment,
Yeah.
especially in the top lane. But I mean, there's going to be an interesting combination of top laners, I think, at this tournament. You're going to have guys like Khan who are going to be looking to get these carry champions, and the team plays completely through him, trying to get him involved, trying to get him ahead. And then there are a lot of other teams that are just going to stick guys on tanks, bruiser guys who are not that impactful in lane and are just kind of playing the front line in these team fights. And I think Huni, a guy who his whole career has kind of been more towards that carry-oriented top lane, which is a lot more volatile when you fall behind or when you don't get snowballing. So it's going to have a pretty big impact on how SKT performs at this tournament, and it's going to be interesting just to see how Huni can play because he hasn't played that much.
No, he hasn't had too much time with SKT, and I mean, even for him, he is viewed as a carry top laner overall, but I mean, even on his days on Fnatic and Immortals, he was someone you looked to take over the game, especially on Fnatic on that perfect roster. You would feed him kills and get him going early, but on SKT, one of his best games of the season was on a Maokai. So he has shown that he can play these tanks when needed to, and obviously in a meta where these guys are kind of coming out, the Shens, the Maokais, Jarvan is a bit more on the damage side, but I mean, tanks are definitely prioritized, and if Huni can show that he's capable on those, then I think the SKT can do some pretty good things. Tough to get those 3 syllables.
You know, the abbreviations can be
tough.
difficult. Sticking to the top lane, the guy you're looking at is Flame on Immortals. Really his whole story, I don't think anyone would ever predicted that he would come back, play at Worlds on Immortals for NA. His whole story, his timeline is just insane.
Even before his first appearance at Worlds with LGD, he was this guy who was great in Korea but could never actually make it onto that international stage, and then he did so with LGD. Decent result for them, but now he's back with Immortals as their top laner, and I mean, things didn't start great for them in 2017. Spring was not a good performance, but his turnaround going into summer, just stellar as a team. They look somewhat dangerous and they have a decent group, so they can maybe pull off some good things, but Flame's a guy who, Huni, you know, he kind of prefers those carry-style champions, whereas Flame has shown that he can really do both at a pretty high level. So he's definitely a guy to watch out for. I think he's kind of under the radar at this tournament in terms of top lane talent, but I would keep an eye on him to maybe take some games for Immortals.
Yeah, and specifically looking at that group, it's pretty... He is just right in the middle in terms of top lane talent. You're going against Khan, where good luck, mate. That'll be an interesting time. And then you've got Archie, who has swapped to the top lane. So just total opposites right now in that group. Obviously, he'll have a very favorable matchup against the Gigabyte Marines, and then when Immortals plays Longzhu, the best top laner, maybe the best player at the tournament he's going to go against. So just totally opposite. We'll see what that 4th team in that group is, who their top laner is, but it's going to be an interesting couple of matchups there for Flame. And yeah, he's been consistent for Immortals pretty much the whole summer split. We'll see if he can keep that trend at this Worlds.
Yeah, one thing to watch out for is also the jungle matchup in a potential like Longzhu matchup, because Xmithy is a guy who does like to spend some time near Flame in that top lane, try to get him going, whereas Cuz is probably going to be looking more towards BDD in the mid and see if he can get something going there, because BDD is the guy who kind of carries that team. So It is going to be interesting to see Flame going up against a guy like Khan, and if he gets out of that first round, some other good top laners in this tournament for sure. QVO to Samsung, a lot of guys to look out for in a pretty top stacked Worlds, I would say.